Welcome to the Beyond the Craft podcast, your gateway to the world behind the scenes of creativity and talent. I'm Kev McRae, the creative director and founder of Revenant, where we breathe life into concepts through the art of animation. And alongside me is my cousin Keith, the founder and director of Breakout Recruitment, whose expertise spans the realms of talent acquisition and industry innovation. Together, we are embarking on a journey to uncover the hidden gems, untold stories, and invaluable lessons within our respective fields. Whether you're a seasoned professional or an aspiring creative soul, our goal is to provide a unique blend of experiences, knowledge, and insights that will trigger your passion and fuel your journey. Through candid conversations and shared wisdom, we invite you to join us as we navigate the ever-evolving landscapes of animation and recruitment. Our hope is that you'll not only find inspiration in our discussions, but also practical advice that you can apply to your own endeavors. Welcome to Beyond the Craft.
Welcome back.
For episode 5.
Episode 5.
Beyond
Holy
the Craft.
moly, that's crazy.
With Kev and me, Keith. Now, this is a personal subject of Kevin. This has come out of your locker.
Is it?
Time management. This is one, yeah.
Okay.
That you sprouted up from the ground. So maybe you want to begin.
Well, I think we should break this into sections so we can discuss routine, we can discuss habit, family life, the 5 a.m. club. We touched on last episode, but we can touch on it again this episode. Agenda setting and avoiding overcommitment.
Or a good place to start might be is something that you brought up in the previous episode, and this, I suppose, maybe at times it latches in with time management, is putting down the phone,
which is tough. It can be tough.
Yeah.
I my previous business partner Johnny, whenever he wanted to focus on a project, when we were hands on the tools, he would switch off his Slack and his emails. Whereas I couldn't do that. I needed to know if there was a problem. I wanted to know about it like sooner rather than later, so I could face it kind of head on.
Or is that just control?
Or, back in the early days, if, I got FOMO as well, thinking about like if a client got in touch and they wanted us to do a job, then I wanted to be on it and be responsive and show that we were the best candidate because we were really good and quick at getting back. And actually that's how the business used to operate. It was just more about quantity. We were on the hamster wheel the whole time.
Yeah.
I thought back then it was more important to be putting out more projects, and posting on Instagram every day. And I had to fear if we stopped, then what would happen? But actually in the last few years, posting less, but posting better quality and giving more consideration to what projects we were taking on was much more important, obviously. And so my mentality is completely changed from when we used to be Playdead to how we now are as Revenant. And it's all about the sort of thought and consideration behind every project that we sort of approach. And that comes down to time management and sort of being able to utilize your time to the best effect.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I also have a problem with the mobile phone or WhatsApp or Slack, because I sit with a laptop plus a desktop and my phone. So then you'll get pings going
all over
everywhere, or you'll get the little blue illumination for a LinkedIn DM, and I'm really terrible at switching that stuff off. I mean, nothing's going to happen. If I miss a message and I don't reply to that message in an hour, the world's not going to come to an end, but I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Also, I could be in deep work and then I get a little notification on the top right that a new email has come in, and I'm like, oh, I've got to check that email.
But there's so many ways that people can communicate now. Because I get Instagram, messages, DMs on LinkedIn. We were working with a client in Vietnam who were using Telegram, and then there was Clubhouse, which came out at about the same time as Discord. We've got our own Discord channel, for some of the team members, and then you have Slack, and we've got Frame.io, And now we've started using more of like ShotGrid, which is like for reviews and for passing back and forward kind of assets and project files and things, Paraforce. And there's so many ways of kind of communicating now. It's really overwhelming. So at the start of every project, we'll kind of assess like what we think is right for that project and how best. And we'll probably ask the client as well, how would they prefer to communicate with email. And actually a lot more we'll have like WhatsApp groups, with like potential kind of clients and things like that.
Yeah, I do quite a lot with WhatsApp as well with my clients, but I keep it, if it's something extremely formal, it's email. And if it's informal, just I need a quick feedback.
Quick answer.
It's just WhatsApp or LinkedIn. Sure. But I mean, with the kind of the putting down the phone and time management, I mean, how do you actually regain control of that situation? And because it's also procrastination. I mean, it's deflecting from a topic that you're working on, right? Because you see the notification, so you're almost looking for it to take you out of what you're doing. So how do you work around that?
I split my days into like micro chunks. So I'll focus, and I actually just at Christmas I bought like a little timer. It's just like a little round thing that you turn, and I can set it to like 10 or 15 minutes. So I split my days into 15-minute chunks at the moment, which seems to be working. So I'll set a time limit where I can look at like a proposal or a bid or chat with like one of the team or, set some time aside just to go out and sort of walk the dog and get away from the computer.
It's funny how you have to put that in your agenda.
Yeah, I've got to schedule like, 30 minutes or 45 minutes or sometimes up to an hour if I want to go a bit further or have a bit more sort of headspace. But that seems to be working at the moment. But it is tricky. And we were chatting earlier about being on holiday with like family and how do you switch off, especially when you run a business, and I can't switch off. So I have to negotiate, time with my wife when we're on holiday that I can take like an hour to go away and focus and read emails and read messages and kind of catch up. Because if I don't do that, then I just become an anxious wreck at the end of the day. Or I'm sneaking off, like you said, to the bathroom just to look at my
Why are you
emails.
20 minutes on the toilet, Kev? No, it's, I think that is a tricky one. I think as a, business owner or solopreneur, I mean, we were on holiday recently and that was at the end of the year. So that was during Christmas and New Year. And I found now for the first time ever, that is the best time for me to go away. Because my clients, the candidates that I work with, I mean, finance professionals, they're all super busy at that time of the year anyway. And then, of course, they're moving into Christmas holidays, New Year. So there was maybe a few days while we were on holiday that I really had to pick some stuff up. But then once we got closer to Christmas, it's like it just went silent. And it was amazing. For like 2 weeks of the 3-week holiday, you could fully focus on it. Might have been a few things now and again, but if I compare that to the trip we took to Scotland in the summer, it's like you said, I was the phone, as soon as it buzzed or vibrated or whatever, it was straight out of the pocket and you were straight on. And sometimes you were sitting in the park, you were doing emails, and it just wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't nice for anybody because you're just not focused on one thing or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I can leave my PC for like an hour and I'll come back and I've got like 52 messages. No joke, like it's crazy.
It's time for a PA.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But then I suppose...
do you not find as well, like at the beginning of the year, is that not a time when people are looking for a new start, a new job, a new career?
No, not all the time. Again, for my kind of network, that's it's not really the beginning because the January, February, March can be super busy for them. I don't know, they're doing kind of their year-end reporting, they're getting budgets ready, they're doing reevaluations. You've got to remember that bonuses are paid out around, I think it's between March, April and May in some organizations. So people don't want to leave before the bonus has been executed. And for me, there's not real one peak period for people looking for work, but there is peak periods in terms of organizations looking for employees. But that actually coincides just also with their calendar. So this time now between spring and summer, we see an upsurge in vacancies because then everybody wants, well, obviously bonuses have been paid now, right? So now people are looking and now there's movement in the market. Clients want roles filled before the summer holidays. So they want people in place so that, they can bed them in, people go on vacation. Then when everybody comes back, they can just run with it. And then likewise, sort of that end of September towards beginning of January, it's the same thing. And I don't know if that's because they've got excess budget to spend, or people sometimes they go on holiday, right? And they have an epiphany. They're done with their job, so they come back from vacation and they're on the phone with the recruiters.
It's because they've had time to think about it and chat to
and
people.
Switched off.
Yeah, exactly. And then they've realized, I don't want to be in this shit anymore.
It is a bit like that. So you can kind of tell when the peak periods are coming. But I think I used to be a multitasker, and that was actually horrible. So obviously I have to run searches for each of the roles that I'm working on, and sometimes I'd be running 3 or 4 searches at the same time and just dipping in and out of them, and then I'd be kind of messaging one and then emailing another, and that was really quite tough. And again, that's because I think I put too much pressure on myself that every single position had to be done right there, right now. Whereas now I would set aside specific time within the agenda to focus purely on one. Maybe you set an hour and a half and you just say, okay, this is the search for the FD position for X, Y, Z, and then that's it. That's nothing else is coming in within that hour and a half. And you put the headphones on, you lock yourself in, and the mobile phone is actually out of arm's reach. And then I will on the desktop sort of switch off WhatsApp. LinkedIn, I have to use it, so they can't really switch that off. But I found that then, for the sort of prioritizing the work has helped. And they do that at the beginning of every week. So what needs to be done first? What's the most important task? And then I block the time in the agenda to do that. And then you leave some space just for little bits and pieces for coming in. But I find that kind of works better for me.
I also make a list when I get up in the morning of the key things that I want to do throughout that day, and that's the minimum that I want to be able to do and target sort of thing. So it's almost like a statement of work that you're setting yourself at the beginning of every day, and it's almost like a little mission that you've got to get through these things. And then I'll have a second list, which is people that I want to reach out to or I haven't spoken to in a while, or I want to do a LinkedIn post, or I want to do an Instagram story or whatever sort of thing. But then I'll also have moments throughout the day where I'll just have an idea and then I'll have to write it down, and then my list will just continue to grow. And so usually by the end of the day, my list is longer than what it started out at the beginning of the day. But as long as I've hit kind of the main things I wanted to get through, then I feel like I've made progress. But it's definitely a challenge, especially around family life as well, and just being able to kind of make time. And my kids have got so many clubs. They do drum lessons, piano lessons, breakdancing lessons, swimming classes. They're now starting basketball. They're doing tennis, and the younger one, he wants to do more football.
Oh, I see.
So it's
you got to squeeze that in somehow.
Well, the thing is,
for an 8th day of the week,
I want to be able to give them all the opportunities that I can for them to develop and to be able to try out new things and see what they like and they don't like. But at the same token, it's just trying to strike that kind of balance, which is really tough. And then obviously, like we mentioned before, working out, getting to the gym, looking after yourself, physically helps your mentality. So
I find, I suppose that also comes into my scheduling. So I, again, pick the mornings for my workouts. Again, before it's either, I can't work out any earlier because of the gym that I go to. The first class is 6:30, but I know then I'm finished by 7:30. I'm back in the house. So the kids have maybe been up for half an hour, so that I can still help with getting them ready for school, pack lunch boxes, walk them to school, come back, shower, then start work. And then I kind of lock that in for 2 days a week. But I'm also probably a little more flexible than you in the fact that it's just me. Getting up at the 5 a.m. thing was a good thing. So you could carry out some work then. And it freed up a little bit of time during the day, especially when around that sort of 4:30, 5 o'clock time, I will always make sure that I'm done no matter what I'm doing by 5 o'clock, because then that sort of 5 till 8 p.m. period is then also for the family.
Yeah.
And that's been consistent, I think, since Amy came along a year and a half ago. And I think it's also only fair on Annie as well. She has to look after the kids all day most of the time. So then, you can come down and sort of take a little bit of pressure off as dinner's being prepared and everything like that. And then I can spend time with them as well before they're too tired and they go crazy before you put them to bed. But then...
Yeah, we call that the funny 5 minutes.
It's the
where they
witching
just
hour.
freak out just before bedtime, and they'll ask for everything that they possibly can. I need another glass of water. Like, oh, I forgot something. I just need to get that toy that's downstairs. Like, you know, and they'll have to run off, and then they'll think of something else. Oh, I'm too hot. Oh, I'm too cold. Oh, actually, maybe I didn't brush my teeth quite as well. I should go back and any excuse.
I've never had that one yet. Never had that one, brushing the teeth.
The thing is, like, Dallas, the younger one, he went to the dentist, and they said to him, you know how kids like just really like absorb certain things like more than others. Yeah. He really absorbed when the dentist had said, like, you know, if you don't brush your teeth will go yellow. And so every time I'm like, Dallas, if you brush your teeth, he's like, are my teeth going yellow? Like, you know, he's always constantly asking, like, you know, is his teeth going yellow? And I'm like, no, as long as you keep brushing your teeth,
you're going to be fine.
You're going to be fine. Like, you know, but yeah, it's hard. Like, because like, I'm always like, oh, I just need to get back into a routine. You know, I need to be getting up. I need to be doing this, walking the dogs, going to the gym. But life just doesn't work like that. Like, you need to adapt.
You do. But I think you should have some consistent moments. I mean, you know where you can find those moments, right? I mean, as you said, your kids have all got certain classes or extracurricular. I mean, Nina's the same. It's like Monday afternoon swimming lessons, Wednesday afternoon gymnastics, Friday afternoon is tennis, Saturday mornings rock climbing. You know, but you know that there's going to be certain moments in any day where you can bank on some time. I don't know. I have that. I'm fortunate enough that I've got that, and then I will utilize that time. But yours seems a little more dynamic.
I take it from week to week, you know, based on what we've got and what I need to sort of prioritize, if it's getting new business or whether it's like massaging the relationships that we do have with clients, or just checking in with the team to make sure that they're not under too much pressure, or do I need to speak to our senior team and strategize about like how we sort of update the infrastructure or the pipelines within our workflows. It just seems to happen, you know, the challenges kind of crop up and you just have to face them at the time. They're just different challenges as you sort of, move forward.
I mean, we are talking about time management, but I think for anybody, you think at one moment you do have control over it. And then, something will just come completely straight at you and just knock everything clean out of the way. And it's for me, I really need to create that habit as well.
Do you not find, like, especially across like social media and the whole 5 a.m. club with Robin Sharma, there's a lot of like information, a lot has been said about like routine and I was listening to one podcast and it was a guy who was like ridiculous, like I get up at 4:30 and I run like 10k and then after like an hour I come home and I have like strawberries and bananas and just makes you feel utterly shit about your own life because he's Mr. Perfect and he does social like media everything.
Though. That's the point of it, right?
And then I do this and then I make sure I've got some quality time with the family between this time, and you know I'm starting to write a book, and you know I'm learning to be a helicopter pilot, like, you know, between 6 and 7, and it just gets he's obviously in his
mid to late 20s, no wife, no kids, no other commitments. You know, things like this. But no, I don't know. I mean, I think there is something to the routine and the habit, but maybe it's more like the compound effect. You know, it's this small, time management. You don't need to go head first into it, right? And then next week you start scheduling everything. I'm really going to do this. But it's week on week, just adjusting. You know, first, the next week you're going to say, right, every Monday between 10 and 11:30, this is Kev's time. This is beginning of the week. I'm going to see what's critical to the business. And that's going to be a non-negotiable. Then the following week, you adjust it again. You say, okay, we'll keep that in, and then I'm going to move something in here. So it's, I think, also a little bit of that compound effect where it's the minor adjustments, but remaining a little bit flexible. Because I think if you go too quick, too soon, I think could be very overwhelming.
No, for sure. For sure.
It'd be interesting to hear what other people do. Within our networks for this one.
This is what I was thinking, like, because everyone has their own unique tics, I think, when it comes to like time management. I was at a conference a few years ago and I was listening to G Monk. He was talking, he's like a director, motion designer and artist. And he was talking about like WonderCal, I think.
Okay.
I think it was called WonderCal. And I looked into it and it was like £50 a month or something like that for this calendar. And I was like, I'm not paying £50 a month for like a calendar. But it is really interesting to see what other people do and how they sort of organize their time. into sort of like whether it's sort of chunks or whether they're a bit more kind of like sporadic?
Well, I think it's difficult to wing it. I think if you wing it, then you really have no sort of direction. And then it's really easy to leave a task behind, I think. I think if you just say, you wake up and you go, oh, fuck it, I'll just see how today goes. I'll do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then what do you actually end up getting done?
I guess it depends on what like industry or sectors people work in as well. Like kind of dictates,
Yeah, maybe. But there's always something to do. There's always something you can be prioritizing. But then if you don't prioritize it or you don't make the time for it, then it's the same. It must be the same for you. But if you don't break the time down and focus on a project.
I need to be able to focus. Yeah, for sure. And one thing that we do here at Revenant is, our team will get set tasks for like the week. And at the beginning of like a project, the producers will ask them, how long do you think this is going to take you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they will start to build up sort of timesheets based on that information. But one thing that I've noticed recently is I've just not had time. I used to play a lot of computer games, but now, and I've got a list as long as my arm of computer games that I want to play that have come out in the last few years.
But where's the change then? Why is it then you had time? Is it?
No, it's not that I could probably make time, but then I also think like, is it how I want to spend my time? Like the time that I do have, I've got this mentality at the moment where I feel like if I was to go away and play a computer game, that it's just a bit of a waste of time.
That's a bit tough on yourself, right? I mean, because would you say that if you were watching another episode of Shogun? I don't know. I don't have it on my phone, but of course you have these apps that show you how often you've been on social media.
That's different though, because like, I guess with a game, you need to interact. Whereas like you're just watching a TV show.
Yeah, but you're still sitting and you're still
sit back. Yeah, but I can just sit back and relax. Like, so if I put the kids to bed or whatever, and I've got like 1 hour between 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Then I just want to switch off. I just want to watch some mind-numbing sort of TV that I don't have to think about. Whereas if I put on a computer game, I've got to be thinking about like the controls and the story and like, what I'm doing. It's
probably a better release than the TV though, because like you said, when you sit in front of a TV, you're just numbed. You're just kind of you're tranquilized. But maybe with the game, I mean, that would be so far-fetched from your daily life. Call of Duty or whatever you're playing, I don't know, blowing crap up. Things like that. Maybe it's a nice, a better release, a better use of your time. I don't know. The other side of the time management aspect as well. I think, if I'm managing my time or I'm at least planning some of my day or my week, it helps actually reduce my anxiety and my stress. Because sometimes I find if I haven't done it properly, I get to the end of the week and I'm like, oh shit. I haven't done this. There's an email still sitting from this time and this and this and this. And then you sort of like panic a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think with really being a little bit more organized, it kind of helps keep that level of zen during the week.
Another thing that's been happening more recently is I've had, other people on a team just, put meetings in and my calendar just fills up.
Oh,
you were saying like, with what you do, some people kind of lock.
Oh yeah. The senior people I work with, they're like, especially on a Friday, it's either Friday morning or typically Friday afternoon as well. They block it. They don't allow anybody into like this 1 till 3 p.m. period on a Friday afternoon or somewhere like that. But they have a religious part of their week where it's like, nope. This is for me to deal with all the stuff that's coming during the week or the stuff I want to deal with for the week. And there's just, they might give you a phone call, but they'll say, well, actually, I've blocked this time off. So if it's urgent, okay, I can jump on the call with you. But if it's not and we can leave it till next week, then let's do that. So they're very, very strict with that, actually. But maybe that's what you need to do. You need to block access.
I'm not sure how that would go down, but yeah, I'd love to try it. Yeah, it feels like my weeks just get like taken up and I'm, there's days which would just be like back-to-back kind of meetings. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I think that I do well is being able to kind of like switch between different aspects of the company. So I'll have to switch between a project or switch between thinking about like the structure or the team or be thinking about social media and marketing and strategizing around that, or I'll be thinking about like how we promote certain bits of work. I guess that's marketing in terms of like the website, or I'll be thinking about we need to go to this conference and we need to speak to this person. We're also trying to develop our own IP at the moment as well. So
are you thinking about all this at the same time?
Yeah, you should see the inside of my head. Like it's it's a mess, but it's like a organized mess. Like that's what
they all say, right?
That's what I feel.
It's chaos, organized chaos. So long as you know what's going on. But no, I often wonder. When you see these billionaires or hedge fund guys, do they have somebody like an executive assistant who plan everything out for them, and then they just they take them by the hand and they follow them through the day? I mean, these are highly successful people. Do you think they're kind of bludging their way through the day and kind of, just jumping here, there and everywhere? Or do you think it would be quite rigid in terms of what they're doing on each day?
I think there's different people that have different sort of mindsets around that.
Yeah.
So I would say that there will be people, successful people who will have their days just regimented and sort of set, and they'll just wake up and look at their schedule and just follow it, and then that's it done. I know that some of the elite people, they kind of break their days into like 7 minutes as opposed
7
to
minutes. What are you going to do in 7 minutes?
No, seriously, you've got 7 minutes, and it's and Nick Cave kind of attitude, whereas like you need to ring me at like 3 o'clock, not 3:01, because if you ring at 3:01, I'm not going to pick up the phone. Basically that type of thing. And then I think there's also, we've worked with clients in the Middle East, and not the Middle East, probably more Asia, that are a bit more all over the place in terms of like, how they interact and how they engage, and they'll speak to you when they've got a moment, sort of thing. So you have to just be on sort of standby.
But then you get to see how it feels on the other side.
I don't know if that's like a cultural thing as well.
Yeah.
Because when we were thinking about sort of promotion and marketing for like Southeast Asia, and you go over there and you see like, if you go to like Hong Kong or Japan, and there's just like advertisements like everywhere. Yeah. Like, it's just saturated. It is just overly saturated, but it is a part of that culture, and the way that they sort of engage with their sort of audience. Like, and so you just need to be thinking, I guess, from what it is that you're sort of delivering for a project and the client that you're working with, thinking about their perspectives and their kind of mindsets. And not to go off track a little bit, but that was part of my reason for building the directors roster for Revenant, was thinking about like the different directors that we've worked with who know our team, but are based all over the world. So we've got directors in like Australia, Canada, we've got director in Dubai, and we've got all over the world sort of thing. But I love it because we have their sort of perspectives on projects, which they've got different experiences, they've got different backgrounds. Like they might see something that we don't, or we might think is right, but they have a different opinion. And so just to have that sort of like perception is so valuable. It's like great. But anyway, I kind of went off track there. We need to get it back to time management.
But on that time management side, I mean, if you're looking at the client side, I mean, something I tend to do with the client is, and you probably do it as well, is you insert checkpoints during the sort of lifespan of the project. So, you have feedback. So you make sure that those are all kind of planned in sometimes before you even kick the thing off. So for me, it's the delivering of resumes, for example. So we'll say it's going to be delivered by this time, then we'll have a conversation, the feedback will be at this point, and then we'll organize interviews and then feedback again. But you make sure that is all planned in. So then, at least for me, I have some control as to what's going on. And then I can also organize accordingly. I mean, at the moment, sometimes it is a case that you send a resume, they say, okay, let's just jump on a phone call quickly. And then everything kind of goes haywire. It kind of interrupts the sort of flow of your day. But that must be quite something.
It's funny you say that, like, because I remember when I was in London, I was working, I don't know if it was like a phase that people just went through. They would email you, and then they would ring you straight away and say, did you get my email? And then I'd be like,
no, I don't think
dude, you just sent the email like 5 minutes ago.
Give me your email.
I don't even like, I haven't even, it's not come through. Oh, I need to check it's sent. It's like, you just need to hit sync and then it comes through. But like, I was like, once you've read the email, then give me a call and we can talk about it. I'm like, is that really necessary? Like, if you've not put it in the email, like, I'll let you know if I've got any questions around it, but I don't feel like we need to jump on a call like straight away. I don't know if that's kind of changed.
I haven't seen much of that myself.
No, I wonder if that's kind of changed because of the way that we sort of communicate, because of like coming out of COVID, like everyone does the video calls now and stuff. And actually, like, it's much more of a collaborative this might just be my industry, but it's much more a sort of collaborative nature starting out, where everyone's quite open about the sort of brief and just sort of like.
You think that's a change in the way we're at? But I think that comes more down to the personality within the organization.
Perhaps.
I think it's your personal approach, right? Maybe, especially what you were saying there, being collaborative. I don't know if I was working in an agency again or a senior consultant, I don't know how collaborative I would be.
Maybe it's my industry type thing, like maybe it's different with the recruitment because...
No, again, I think it's personal. I think that's your approach.
Do you think?
Yeah, you could be very businesslike in it if you wanted to be, right? You could kind of set the tone, you could do this, but I think it's your personality, nature coming through, and the fact that you have a strong desire for it to work, and you're not churning out projects, right? You're not a mass agency who's taking crap ton on, and you're just kind of saying, all right, they're client 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's actually a connection you're building as well.
I also feel like you can distinguish quite a lot from having that first conversation and call, and you can kind of gauge their tone, their sort of like approach, and whether you're compatible and whether you got a good kind of vibe. But whenever a project starts, it will kind of evolve, and everything starts out nice in the beginning, always does. And then something will crop up inevitably. Yeah. You never know what it is, but it will crop up, and you need to find a solution. You need to get around it. But working collaboratively, if you have open communication across the board, then you're going to be able to solve it much faster.
Oh, and saves time.
It's more likely that somebody's experienced a similar situation, and you can work together to kind of find that solution rather than wallow or sit in the corner and scratch your heads, or get on Google and say, I've got a burning sensation between my toes. Is it cancer? Type thing. Like everyone, it's the worst thing you can do, right? Is like Google, if you've got like a problem or you've got an itch where an itch shouldn't be.
I've not had many of those itches, Kev. I don't know what you've been up to, but no, my itches are in the usual place, in my arms, top of my head, sometimes my ass. I don't know, but yeah. It's,
but all I'm saying is all the answers aren't on Google for sure.
They're not.
At Chat GPT isn't going to tell you everything.
Chat GPT-4 might.
It's sometimes wrong.
It is. Inevitably, it will be wrong. But I think
actually that would be a good topic for future, is like AI. We should do a topic.
Oh yeah, then I'll have to do some deep research into AI actually, and we have to use it. I think put it to the test.
Well, I do use it on a daily basis in different sort of ways, and I think we should explore that in a
how to write a nice letter to my wife to tell her that I'm going to Barcelona again this weekend.
Okay, this podcast cannot go out before we go to Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly. No, all right, cool. Well, I think we've covered time management. I think this is another one where we've got some guests in mind that we would like to bring in. I would love for anyone that's listening to this podcast to leave any comments or ideas about like how they manage their time. Like I just find it fascinating. Resources. Yeah, like any tools or tips or tricks or insights that you've kind of found that have worked for you on a personal basis or way, or that you think would be helpful knowledge to others. Just leave them in the comments. But sweet. Sounds good. Well, thanks again for listening, everybody, to Beyond the Craft. This was Keith and Kev. Next episode, we're going to be talking about networking. Sounds like fun. Beautiful. Lovely. All right. Thanks.